Book Dragons, it's Alyssa and you're watching Pages and Ink. So let's discuss all the books that I read in the month of April. I didn't read that many. April was a little busy for me with school and I wanted to make sure that I completed all of the challenges for the owls. So that was my first priority, and then everything else was just a bonus, and by everything else I mean half a book. So I had an okay reading month. I don't think I had any really stellar reads. I think it was more on the lower end as far as rating goes. I did read some young adult. I even read a children's book. I read some graphic novels. I'm pretty sure it's an adult fantasy novel. I don't think I'm going in any particular order. I'm just gonna kind of pick from my pile here. So I did mention in my May TBR video that in April I read about half, a little over half, of The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. I finished it already in the month of May, like the first couple days. So you do have to wait to hear my thoughts on this until the May wrap up. I'm very sorry. Just again with school, I didn't get a chance to read it until like the last day of April, but I did get halfway through in April, finished it already in May, and I'll let you know what I thought of it in my May wrap up, because it's finished. Finito. Done. I finished. So I read 2 graphic novels in the month of April. The first one was Over the Garden Wall, Volume 1 by Pat McHale. It is a continuation of the TV miniseries that was on Cartoon Network called Over the Garden Wall. It's whimsical and different and weird. There's only like 9 or 10 episodes at like 10 minutes a piece, so you get through it pretty quickly. But the way that it ends, it leaves you wanting more, so I'm very glad that they have these graphic novels. So there were 2 stories in Volume 1. The first one I really enjoyed. It brought me right back to like the middle of that mini series. And then the second one I didn't enjoy. I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. A high 3 out of 5 stars. It wasn't disappointing. It wasn't spectacular. It was just something that I enjoyed reading. I think other people would like too. The other graphic novel that I read in the month of April is Rick and Morty versus Dungeons and Dragons. Patrick Rothfuss wrote the story for this, and then it says last names Zub, Little, and Ito. I don't know if those are co-writers or if those are illustrators. This was phenomenal. This was everything that I wanted in a Rick and Morty graphic novel and a Dungeons and Dragons graphic novel. To me, it just felt like another episode of Rick and Morty. I actually wish that they did a spin-off like TV show that was just Rick and Morty and Dungeons and Dragons. Absolutely loved this. 5 out of 5 stars. I think the next volume is going to come out sometime soon and I will pick that up. This has to be one of my favorite graphic novels that I've read in a long time. However, if you don't like Rick and Morty, then you're probably not going to like this. Or if you don't really care about Dungeons and Dragons, you're also probably not going to like this. But if you do, then I highly recommend picking this up. You'll love it. So I also read Geekerella by Ashley Poston. This is a modern geek-tastic version of Cinderella. It follows a girl named Elle who's obsessed with this sci-fi TV show, and she actually writes a blog about it, and there's going to be a movie adaptation of it that's also like a reboot of the series. It's like when they brought out the new Star Trek movies with Chris Pine as Captain Kirk, kind of that feel. And she does not like who's cast as the captain, so she starts ranting in her blog about the actor that was cast, and then their worlds collide, and it's a Cinderella retelling, so you can kind of guess some of the things that's going to happen. I thought that this story was cute. I thought the writing was well done. It was a sweet story. I know that she addressed vaguely the issue of women fans in sci-fi and fantasy, and they're accused of being like fake fans. I don't understand why someone would be a fake fan of fantasy. Do these people that are accusing women of being fake fans think that they're fake fans to like get a boyfriend or a girlfriend? Like, I just don't understand the whole fake fan thing. I wish she would have addressed it further. She doesn't And that was a little disappointing, especially when you're going to have a scene where she's accused of being a fake fan. It just doesn't go there. I wish it did. It was cute, like I said, it was sweet. It wasn't anything to write home about. I think the hype around this book kind of disappointed me. I was expecting it to be like a really good retelling, especially since Cinderella retellings, for some reason, happen to be my favorite fairy tale retelling. So I did give this a 3.5 out of 5 stars. It was good. It wasn't great. I do recommend people reading it. It's a light read. It's a fast read. It's just not anything that's going to change your life. So the next book that I read in the month of April, I do have a review out, so I'll put it in the cards, and then I'll put a link in the description box down below so you can go check it out. And that is Once and Future by Corey McCarthy and Amy Rose Capetta. So this book is a futuristic science fiction queer gender bent retelling of King Arthur. If you've been with my channel for more than a few videos, you would know that this was one of my most anticipated releases of the year. I absolutely adore anything that has to do with the King Arthur legend. It just is always my favorite. This book was very disappointing on so many levels I can't even explain in this wrap up. So if you want to know more about my thoughts, please check out that review. The writing was lackluster, the characters were lackluster, nothing was developed, the plot was everywhere. I don't recommend anyone picking this up, which I never thought I would be that sassy. I know that authors pour their hearts and their souls into their work, but this felt like it was written in 1 week. I don't understand how it got published. I just feel like it was written like a very bad fan fiction. I've written fan fiction that's better than this. I've read fan fiction that's better than this. That's all I'm gonna say about that. If I could give it 0 stars, I would. 1 out of 5 stars. I'm sorry I'm being very harsh. I feel a little bad about being so negative. 1 out of 5 stars. I'm done talking about this book. I'm going to unhaul it. I only kept this book for this video, and now I'm going to unhaul it because I don't even want it on my shelves. Now we're at the last book that I read in the month of April, and that is The Westing Game by Ellen Raskin. This was a book that I read as a child, and I fell in love with it. I made Megan read it when we first started dating. I didn't remember much of anything about it, so for me it didn't count as a reread. So this book is about the Westing Game. Mr. Westing owns this apartment building and he rents it out to specific people. He dies, accuses one of the tenants of murder, gives them clues and pairs them up and tells them whoever solves the clue of his murder inherits his millions. This book was written, or it was published, in 1978. So that is one thing that we need to keep in mind when going forward and discussing this story. It does have a lot of representation of different ethnicities, and there is some ableism discussion going on, but it's not really done that well. It's full of stereotypes, and they use some words that I wouldn't recommend using, that if I hear other people using these words, I get very upset. Again, it was written in 1978, so I understand that at the time, certain words and phrases were okay, but it's 2019, so I can't tell people to read this book. I loved the story, I loved the ending. There's just something so magical about this book for me, but I can't, one, rate it, so I'm not going to rate it, and I can't tell people to read it because of those words and phrases that are used in this book. I think if this book were to be written now, it would definitely be a 5 out of 5 stars, but again, I can't tell people, hey, you should read this book if it's something that makes me a little squeamish and makes me cringe. So read it if you want, but understand that the stereotypes in this book are over the top, and that there are some moments that make you go, oh, that probably shouldn't be written in a book. So those are all the books that I read in the month of April. If I said May at all in this video, I'm sorry, I'm filming them back to back, if you can tell by the same Slytherin t-shirt. If you've read any of the books that I talked about in this video, let me know in the comments down below. If any of them sound interesting to you, let me know in the comments as well. I didn't even talk about the owls. I completed all the challenges for the owls, so I can continue on in the summer for the next readathon to become a librarian, which is my dream job. So yay for me, yay for life, yay for the owls. And if any of you participated in the owls, let me know how you did. Let me know what career you were going for, how the month went for you, what challenges you had to accomplish or finish. If you liked this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you want to join the Book Dragon family, hit the subscribe button down below. And as always, until next time, remember to be nice to yourself and be kind to others.